There's always more to the news than a headline. We want to discover, to delve a little deeper, to find out what's really going on. Explanation, analysis, the people at the heart of every story. I'm Neil Patterson, and this is the Sky News Daily Podcast. So, by the end, we'll hopefully all understand what's going on in the world just that little better. Available wherever you get your podcasts.
Well, this is Sky News. In just a moment, the press preview. A first look at what is on the front pages. First, though, our top stories tonight. 2 people have been killed and at least 70,000 people have been ordered to flee their homes in California because of wildfires. A 14-year-old boy who was stabbed to death on a bus in Woolwich in southeast London yesterday has been named as Kellyanne Bokassa. And President-elect Donald Trump has attempted to take his hush money legal fight to the Supreme Court and call off sentencing due to take place on Friday in New York. He is in Washington, though, right now. Well, hello there, you're watching the press preview, a first look at what is on the front pages. Time then to see what's making the headlines with the associate editor of the Daily Mirror,
I am here from my lawyer.
Kevin McGuire, and the Whitehall editor at the Daily Mail, Claire Ellicott. With us from now until just before midnight. Welcome to both of you. So to the front pages then, let's start with the Telegraph. As government borrowing costs hit their highest level since 2008, the Telegraph leads on the Treasury's intervention to stabilise financial markets. The Eye claims the Chancellor could soon face a choice between further tax rises, or cutting public services. And the Mail's headline, Market Turmoil, sounds red alert for the Chancellor. As wildfires rage in California, The Guardian's front features a blazing house in Los Angeles as it covers the mass evacuations in the area. President-elect Donald Trump is on the front of the Financial Times as European leaders warn him not to meddle with North America's borders a day after he refused to rule out taking Greenland by force. Staying with Mr. Trump, the front of the Times reports on the President-elect terror chief calling for the UK to bring back British members of Islamic State held in Syrian camps to maintain the special relationship with the US. The Metro leading on the murder of Kellyanne Bokassa, the 14-year-old boy killed in a stabbing in southeast London. And the Daily Star writes that Belgium is warning people not to turn their Christmas trees into spicy butter or sauces in the post-festive season. That is new to me, I have to say. Don't forget, scan the QR code that you'll see on screen during the programme. You can check out the front pages of tomorrow's newspapers while you listen to our guests. Let's head to Kevin and to Claire. Welcome to both of you. Lots of the newspapers going on this idea of market turmoil. The Chancellor boxing herself in before the election, in fact, in terms of taxes, and now afterwards by the markets, Kevin.
Yeah, cost of borrowing going up, 10-year gilts. The government basically says, here's some debt, if you buy it, and we'll pay you for 10 years to have it. It has gone up to a rate not seen, say the Mail, since 2008, the financial crisis. And because of that, the suggestion is that the headroom, the extra cash that Rachel Reeves had, 9.9 billion, nearly 10 billion, may have gone already. Now, the Treasury say, let's be calm about it, we're not going to increase taxes. But it's the question, if the cost of borrowing is going up, you're not going to increase taxes, then do you cut public spending, which means services?
Absolutely, and your paper leading on it. Although it was around yesterday, to be fair, wasn't it, this story? But the reaction to it has started to set in about the implications, really, for this government.
Well, the real news story is that the Treasury has had to intervene, which is very, very rare, to try to reassure people that Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, will indeed meet her fiscal rules. She set herself these fiscal rules that she's only allowed to borrow to fund investment, not to cover day-to-day spending. And the trouble with the cost of borrowing going up is that you won't have as much money to put into departments to keep the day-to-day spending going. And so you have a hard choice. You either have to raise taxes or you have to borrow more and thus break your rules. So she's got a very, very difficult decision on her hand to make. And the Treasury has put out a statement, which is incredibly rare, to say that she will follow her fiscal rules. She's reassuring the markets that she will keep to them. But the fact that she's had to do it is quite extraordinary in itself. And we've seen since the budget, there has been wobbles in the markets, been this NICS increase for employers having to pay more, and it is worrying businesses. There is some worry in the markets about whether some of the decisions that were made were right.
Yeah, just quickly, Kevin, in a rare intervention, as you said, a spokesman for the Chancellor said her commitment to the fiscal rules was non-negotiable. To the Telegraph then, Treasury steps in to halt market mayhem, extraordinary intervention amid fears over budget's impact and high costs of debt. I mean, the budget's impact will just continue, won't it? That's the problem.
Yeah, iron grip on the public finances as the response in the Telegraph have taken. But in fairness, any journalist could ring up the Treasury any day of the week and say, is Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, going to have an iron grip on public finances? And they would say yes. So I do that extraordinary bit.
Unilaterally to reassure the market.
I think that at how much you read into it, but there's no doubt the economy isn't booming. She inherited an economy without much growth, but there was some growth. The last quarter there was no growth. A recession would be the very last thing she would want. There's not lots of money sloshing around. She put up taxes quite considerably on employers, national insurance. You've seen subsidised farmers protesting, over inheritance tax. $500 million would be raised by that from landowners. And she said she wouldn't increase income tax, employees, national insurance or VAT, so she's ruled out the biggies.
There's the boxing in. I mean, the Telegraph saying it's the first such statement since the mini-budget crisis of 2022. The Treasury attempted to dismiss as pure speculation suggestions that rising debt costs had wiped out all of her headroom and put her in breach of her own fiscal rules. Is there any sense, from all of you in the lobby, that the Treasury's having a wobble over the budget and what has happened? Because, if business is worried now, it will continue to be concerned. Next talking about installing, automatic, what do you call it when you pay for things?
A tap and go.
No, when you...
Chip and pin.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, sorry. I know.
Getting rid of staff.
Are we just playing a game, are we? Oh, you mean automated checkouts in
automated
supermarkets?
checkout. So that's another company, and they've had great figures over Christmas.
But some supermarkets are getting rid of those now and bringing back staff to cut shoplifting.
Yeah. But that's the problem when you mess with employers, national insurance. So is there a sense of a wobble? Do people notice it?
I think the thing about the business lobby is that a lot of people don't feel sorry for businesses, and we've all had a tough time in the cost of living crisis. And this has been gently rumbling on. And as Kevin was talking about the farmers, there's been a very noisy protest. We all know about the farmers. Everyone knows about the farmers. But the real problem is, ordinary businesses having to increase prices. Places like Tesco, and you've mentioned Next. I think they're putting up prices 1% to cover the next increase. There is a real problem there. And I think the markets are looking at the UK and deciding, is this a good place to invest? If borrowing costs are going up, Rachel Reeves is losing some of her headroom to cover herself. So if there is a shock to the system, if something happens, then she's got no wiggle room. And the fact is that's not an ideal place to be in. And as the Telegraph points out, the last time we were in such a situation was when Liz Truss had the mini-budget. Whether they're going to reverse any of their changes, I don't know. I don't think so, but the fact is this hasn't gone down well and they are going to have to do something about it. And she's talking about having to step in and do something before the next fiscal event to reassure the market if things get bad. And that's not a place you want to be in.
Not wishing to be Pollyanna, but nevertheless, interest rates are expected to 2 or 3 falls this year. Wages are now growing faster than inflation, so that will increase people's living standards.
And inflationary pressures, obviously.
Yeah, but there's still, it was a long stagnation in wages. They didn't recover their value from 2008 during the Conservative. It started growing at the end of the Sunak period. They're still growing, I think 5% to 2.7% inflation. And most economic models predict growth this year.
OK. ... We'll then see what happens, shall we?
Yeah.
In the meantime, let's go to the extreme and emergency situation, surrounding Los Angeles and California. Utterly unbelievable pictures there of some of the most famous places on the planet with the, the Hollywood stars where they abode in these multi-million-pound properties.
Yeah, that is a fantastic spread in the Times. And you just, often TV does these events better because you get the moving images and you see that and you just think that's somebody's home or was somebody's home, and are they insured or was the insurance stripped by the companies, as happened in some cases? And of course there are water shortages, so the fire crews connect the hoses to the whatever you call them coming out of the ground, the pipes, and then there's no water. I mean, it's just utterly heartbreaking. But that Times spread, I think, is just terrifically done. And they always have a Q&A. Every day they'll have a Q&A, and they're very handy.
Yeah. We'll keep an eye on that. Just want to take you to pictures from Washington, in fact, where Donald Trump, president-elect, obviously is paying tribute to Jimmy Carter, who died, as we know, on the 29th of December at the age of 100. He lying in state now for 3 days before his state funeral on Thursday at the Washington National Cathedral, where the current president, at least for the next week or so, Joe Biden, will deliver a eulogy. Just expecting Mr. Trump, I think, to walk in. There we go. He's just walking in alongside his wife, Melania, as you can see. Jimmy Carter's remains had been lying in repose at the Carter Presidential Center since Saturday. He left the Atlanta campus yesterday morning alongside his children and extended family. And as Jimmy Carter's remains left Georgia, President-elect Donald Trump did criticise the late former president during a news conference in Florida for ceding control of the Panama Canal to its home country. Jimmy Carter himself, he never used his full name, James Earl Carter Jr., even taking the oath of office, but his full name was printed on memorial cards given to all mourners who paid their respects in Atlanta. It'll be interesting to see what happens here at the Rotunda in the Capitol building. All of this pomp, some irony, of course, for Jimmy Carter, the Democrat who went from his family peanut warehouse to the governor's mansion and eventually to the White House. The president-elect departing, having paid his respects to the 39th president of the United States, of course, days before his inauguration as president once again. Yes, full coverage, of course, of that funeral on Thursday, but returning obviously to the other part of the US, which is taking so much of our attention. As you say, the extraordinary pictures there, a helicopter trying to douse. But there are concerns, some suggestions that, insurance had been pulled from some of these residents and that there are water shortages from the hydrants that makes firefighting so incredibly difficult.
I think what's incredible about this story is it's one of the richest parts of the world. It's got some of the most rich people who have the biggest houses, and the sheer power of Mother Nature cannot be tamed by humanity's best efforts. You've got 100-mile-per-hour winds which are blowing these wildfires. I think it's 4 big wildfires that are spreading across. And the fire, I think that one of the man representing the fire service was on the television earlier saying that they'd not been able to restrain it at all. And you can see some of this footage of them trying to put out these fires and absolutely nothing is happening. It's absolutely extraordinary that, in one of the richest parts of the world, that there is no ability.
0% containment is how they've described it. And with the strong winds, it is an unstoppable force, is it not? It jumps is the problem.
No, absolutely. How do you combat it? And you see once again, though, the bravery, courage of fire crews risking their own lives. We saw one with you could see the burning walkway, and,
yes.
And they are there with a hose trying to save. It's kind of, you see adverts now. We run away, they run to danger.
Yeah, or some are residents who stay just a little bit too long. The desperation to save all your possessions that you've accrued over a lifetime is sometimes urges people to linger a little too long.
It's all your personal possessions as well as bigger possessions, and then of course, as you say, some people haven't got insurance because it's been pulled by the companies. Yeah,
absolutely. I think that'll be the next part of the story, won't it? Certainly. Lots more still to come in the next part of our press preview. Back in just a moment.
Big stories don't always come from big cities. I'm Lisa Dowd and I'm Sky's Midlands correspondent.
You are not getting in this elevator, OK?
The judge made it very clear that she could see no justifiable reason why Sakulas wasn't here facing British justice.
I promised I would get him justice.
Free, wherever you get your news. This is what they're up against. The wind is the really big problems. It is back-breaking work and the smoke is thick. It's been working well. Water levels are dropping, but no one knows what impact further rain will have. What would you do if this place wasn't open? This is the exact spot in Nottingham where their 19-year-old son, Barnaby Webber, lost his life.
I just think it's so cruel and so harsh.
It's really scary. We're terrified.
In this community, I'm told that everybody knows someone affected by COVID.
Hopefully this will be the last wave.
Sky News gets the full story first. Change seems tantalisingly close in this corner of the UK. Wales was the first to introduce the plastic bag charge. It's legal to let go. Set the speed and take the hands off. It's almost driverless, but not quite. Hans is a highly trained police dog. The force is incredible. It's really frightening, actually. This is my patch, my specialism. It's also my home.
Two clubs separated by a 3.5-mile stretch of urban North London. The North London derby occupies centre stage. And that's a beautiful finish. The encircle, that's just stunning.
The North London derby, only on Peacock. We've got your Sunday mornings covered. From the front page and the sounds of the streets to the voices of the people who make the major calls and big picture politics beyond Westminster. We'll put you at the heart of our story. A new start to Sunday.
I'm ready. Are you?
Join me, Trevor Phillips, Sunday mornings on Sky News.
Weeknights on Sky News.
This is your chance. Tell people. Welcome to the Politics Hub.
Our police force has apologised. If you want to find out about Grimsby, you come to the docks.
I'm live in Jerusalem.
Are you not concerned that that could lead to all-out war?
Hello there, good evening. There are fears of an upsurge in violence. What's at stake here?
You are watching the press preview, a first look at the front pages as they arrive.
Welcome back. You are watching the press preview. With me once again, Kevin Maguire and Claire Ellicott. Let's go to the front of the Times, their lead story, which seems really extraordinary. Britain must bring back UK members of Islamic State held in Syrian prison camps at the price of the special relationship with America. Claire, amazing.
Yes, so this is an interview the Times has done with Sebastian Gorka, who's a deputy assistant to the president-elect, Donald Trump. And apparently the price of the special relationship is going to be that Britain has to take back some of the ISIS fighters who are in Syria in sort of limbo, including one Shamima Begum, who we will all know as the schoolgirl who fled to help fight with ISIS back in 2015 from Bethnal Green in East London. They tried to rescind her British citizenship. She's lost her appeal against it recently, I think, last year. And, the price of a special relationship with Trump...
For what point? To empty these camps because of what's happened in Syria? They need to clear it out,
But this has long been the US position. It's long been Trump's position. And Sebastian Gorka, who is with the hard, the alt-right, the hard right there, they just think leaving those prisoners in Syria risks security because they may be let out, they're held by the Kurds in their part, and according to the Times, as many as 20 British women, 40 children and 10 men. The US has taken back its citizens who went. Now, Shamima Begum, as you say, was a groomed schoolgirl, 15 when she left. She's been stripped of statehood But you could see it's insecurity. The Kurds don't want them there. They want them taken back. Or the European countries have taken them back. In fact, the man, Shumayma Begum, was forced to marry. He's gone back to Holland. But Britain has just taken this position. Yes, people came back unofficially, but those who want to come back officially or you've been identified haven't been taken. And it's something for the UK government, which is, I'm sure they'd rather not have to think about it. Now it's changed because Shumayma Begum just triggers so many people, but she was a 15-year-old schoolgirl at the time. She'd been groomed, she'd gone to Sunderland or Stirling or Swansea instead of Syria. She would have been dealt with.
Of other grooming stories we're talking about right now, it is an interesting dilemma, isn't it, certainly? Let's move on to the Financial Times. Europe says hand off our territory to Mr Trump, including Greenland, of course, which, you know, is associated with Denmark for 600 years.
Yeah, which, of course, is in NATO. But Donald Trump isn't ruling out using military action to take Greenland or the Panama Canal, because Denmark's a NATO country. So, I mean, it's just getting utterly ludicrous. And, of course, the European Union has a pact that it's rather like NATO itself, that an attack on one of us are required to go to its assistance. Now, I hope he's not going to invade and try and grab Greenland by military means to get its resources. But it's where we're going to be with him as a president again. It's kind of buckle up, because he's a loon.
OK. On that note, I'm going to have to conclude, I'm afraid, because we've run out of time. Both of you, thank you both very much indeed. I'll see you for more at 11. Right now, here is the weather forecast, and a northerly flow will keep it cold this week. Widespread overnight frosts. It will turn milder over the weekend. There'll be an extensive and locally severe frost at first tomorrow, with icy stretches in places, some dense freezing fog patches through central parts and wintry showers near northern and western coasts. Far southeast can expect a little patchy rain too. Well, our press preview continues in Sky News at 11. California up in flames, extraordinary pictures from there. Tens of thousands of people flee their homes. We'll have the latest on the devastating wildfires in the US at the top of the hour.
I'm James Matthews, and I'm Sky's US correspondent, based here in Washington, D.C. Donald Trump, it would appear, is about to learn his fate. There's no doubting the strength of this hurricane as it roars through. Sky News, get the full story first. Do you fear a fourth indictment?
He's from Sky News. He's entitled to